The referendum's getting closer, and that means you're going to be hearing from a lot of experts and seeing a lot of polls trying to answer one question. Are Australians going to back an Indigenous voice to Parliament?
I would put more than a fiver on a no, probably considerably more.
That's Matt Kvortrup. He's a leading expert in referendums across the globe, and his model predicted the shock Brexit result in 2016. He's actually been predicting that Australians will reject the voice for about a year now, even back when polls had support for it at about 60%.
I stick to my guns. I got a bit of a shtick for that, for predicting that.
Now, he says that's partly because there's a big difference in the way voters deal with an abstract idea and a concrete idea. Take same-sex marriage. By the time Australians actually voted on that change, most had a very, very clear idea on what it was they were actually voting on, and many had their own very clear opinion on it. It was concrete. But when it's abstract, or it's something that the voting public maybe hasn't thought that much about, what can start as a very high support for an idea in principle tends to plummet when people start to question what it will actually look like in reality.
The vote against status quo is less likely when it's a completely new issue where people have to educate themselves, which they will find tedious and tiresome, and why do I have to look this up?
We can see that playing out in this race. So support for the voice has dropped significantly over the last year, since the coalition started demanding details on how it would actually work. And most polls now have the no camp on course for victory. And they're not just finding more people are ready to vote no, but more of them are certain in their views. There seem to be more what we call soft voters in the yes camp. They're people that are prepared to have their minds changed.
You know what you got, you don't know what you will get. Most people who should be in favour of change will be in favour of it in a sort of lukewarm sort of way, whereas those who know what they've got will fight ferociously tooth and nail to maintain the status quo.
That means undecideds tend to end up sticking with what we already have, but of course no one referendum is exactly like any other, so there's no guarantee that these trends will end up playing out in October. And the polls are also producing slightly different results, so how do we know which ones to trust?
If everyone's giving you the exact same result, like they're down to within a percentage of each other, that would actually be a bit more suspicious.
That's because polls are conducted in slightly different ways. Some are done online, some are done on the phone, the wording of the question can be slightly different, and that'll mean you produce slightly different results. So you shouldn't take any individual poll as a crystal ball, but what you can do is look at the message multiple polls are telling you over time. And when it comes to the voice, that message is pretty clear. It's not good news for the yes camp.
It does look like support has declined over the year, and that is something we're seeing across pretty much every survey run by every research firm. It certainly looks like it's a trend that everyone's picking up.